Hello, everyone, and welcome to the October 2025 episode of Voices of CFMA, Construction Financial Management Association's podcast featuring conversations with industry leaders, sponsored by Banger. I'm your host, Sal Marino, CFMA's Director of Communications and the Managing Editor for CFMA Building Profits magazine. This month, my guest is Alex Hershey, Trinity's Vice President of Accounting and Finance and Chair of CFMA's Residential Subcommittee. Alex, thank you so much for being here. Why don't we start by you telling everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Alex Hershey. I'm a vice president of accounting and financial reporting for a GC in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Worked for a different GC for about 20 years, and a couple months ago, just transitioned over to a little bit of a smaller company just to have a little bit a closer commute, to be honest with you. Very similar type of companies from the culture as well as the type of work that they do. So all different types of market sectors, definitely focusing on the residential side as well as a little bit more on the mission critical with some data center work and some of those types of projects with the new company. But it's been a little bit of an adjustment just getting used to a new company, but definitely have enjoyed it and I've really enjoyed the construction industry. So continuing to move forward in that area in very similar capacities as well from the actual responsibilities. But it's been fun so far over the last 20 plus years.
That's awesome. How did you get started in construction?
Yeah, so my dad was in the construction industry, and coming out of school, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Came out with a financial background, degree wise, and actually my degree was in economics. And just kind of looking around, wanted to stay close to home at least to get started with my career. And interviewed with the company that I was with for about 20 years, and really just enjoyed talking to who ended up being my mentor. And so just kind of looking for the right fit coming out of school, and it ended up being a great opportunity. And I think a big part of construction that I enjoy is obviously accounting is across the board, but you really have that tangible product from the construction side that you can kind of place the numbers behind and really see that tangible item that you're working towards with the teams.
That's awesome. So your dad was in construction. You basically grew up in construction. Do you have an earliest memory that you're fond of with him?
Yeah, two things. Number one, I just remember how early he would always get up, and I look back on it, and I'm just like him now that I'm up, generally 5:30 or so, getting the day going, and so I always remembered that it was kind of, hey, you get the day going early, and then every once in a while getting out to a job site, a unique, and living around DC. Obviously, some great and interesting projects that go on. So I remember when I was little, being able to either drive by and every once in a while actually getting on site on the weekend, just kind of seeing how the project was being built. And I think also just when it's a big base building job or a big residential multifamily job, being able to see it in different stages from kind of the first couple months versus a couple years down the road. So those are some things that really made an impact on me, kind of coming out as a young child, kind of seeing the
Yeah,
business.
that's amazing. I love that. So how'd you get started with CFMA?
Yeah. So once again, fortunately, when I was working with my previous company, I had two mentors that were heavily involved,
Sure.
and so I was fortunate to have them get me involved and kind of pass down the value that CFMA can bring to the industry and to construction financial professionals. So from that standpoint, I was blessed, to have encouragement to join the organization. And so I got involved with the local chapter here with DC. Met some great contacts that still hang out with today, and then it kind of evolved from there.
So DC, are you a sports fan?
Absolutely, yep.
Who's your team?
So I really enjoy the Commanders here at the fall time, but I like all the DC teams. I got the Capitals starting their season up here shortly. Obviously, the Nationals been struggling a little bit, and then actually as a kid, I played soccer and basketball, and so I enjoyed DC United and the Wizards, but had some rough seasons there too. So Commanders finally getting to have some winning seasons, so enjoying that in the DC area.
That's awesome. So you're fairly new essentially at Trinity, right? Anything different that you're doing now that you are excited about that you weren't doing in your old company?
Yeah, I think worked for a much bigger company prior to Trinity, and
Okay,
which was great. But I think the biggest difference has been when you have a bigger company, there's more experts in different niches of the company, and so jumping into Trinity, the first thing that got involved with was the insurance renewal, just because of the timing of the year and when it was coming, and so. My prior company had a risk management team that kind of handled the majority of that. So getting involved in different aspects other than just the traditional accounting and financial reporting has been interesting and a good learning experience, from the IT side, looking at different softwares from more of a leadership side, as opposed to having a big, business solutions technology team at my prior company that kind of led it with others supporting. It's been a unique opportunity over the last really month and a half to see some of the stuff that goes on from the start to the finish, as opposed to just being a piece of it.
yeah. Do you feel being at your old company for 20 years, do you feel like you're reinvigorated when you start at a new job?
Yeah, it's definitely bittersweet.
Yeah,
Working for a great company. Once again, the only reason I made the change was a little bit more from to get some time back in the day and not hit that beltway around the DC area, if you're familiar with it. So obviously tough, leaving a lot of good friends and mentors. But it is, I think, exciting from the standpoint of doing some new things. And yeah, having some new teams, new projects. I think there's always some excitement with new, even though change is intimidating.
sure. Yeah.
It does stir up some excitement.
Yeah, that's great. And you are the chair of CFMA's residential construction subcommittee. What's that look like for you? And is there anything big on the horizon or any agenda items you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, so that's been another exciting adventure from the standpoint of with the background of what I've done with general contractors, we've always had a residential kind of segment. And so, I think that's just a little side piece of advice for people to don't be afraid to say yes when the opportunity comes up. And a couple of years ago when that came up, I said, sure. They were looking for somebody to kind of take the lead. And it's been great from the standpoint of working with Laura, of course, and the other members on the subcommittee to really establish a presence and a support for the residential sector. And when we say residential sector, from my background, it's more multifamily with apartments and condo buildings, but also, the single family home builders. And that, from that standpoint, there's a whole lot of differences with the accounting in general and different financing. And so I think having that support in the realm of education, networking, all the different things that CFMA brings is really key. And I think, a big part of what we're doing now is really planning with Laura and Neil as to how we go forward. Once again, the subcommittee has been around for a couple of years now and has built some traction with a core group. But I think the focus is making sure that folks are aware that it's there, and making sure that we continue to get more involvement to be able to do bigger things. And from that standpoint, we've had a couple sessions at each of the national conferences over the last couple of years, and gained some good traction. But I think the more involvement, the more education, the more networking opportunities, the more that CFMA can help the residential community. And so I think from that standpoint, we're already planning for next year's conference with the sessions. But I think there's also some things that we want to do from the standpoint of webinars, looking at technology, just different things that are more focused on that residential sector that a lot of the other communities have seen from heavy highway and some of the other niches in the construction industry.
Looking to replace your clunky on-premise accounting system, or simply looking to ditch your QuickBooks and Excel workflow? Consider Bangert. Bangert is a leading provider of Sage Intacct Construction, the only AI CPA preferred cloud-native construction accounting ERP. If you're switching accounting systems in 2025, spend 70% less and slash your time to live by 50% with the Bangert Way, our proven process for deploying Sage Intacct Construction. Visit our YouTube or bangertinc.com to learn more.
Anything in your area in AI that you see actually delivering like ROI for you right now, or where there's hype or actual useful AI or technology?
Yeah, I think a big part of any accounting department um, is accounts payable, and it's not
Yeah,
the most glamorous thing that I think people enjoy, but it's something that is a necessary. But I think that's where I see AI from the standpoint of um, number one, invoice routing, but also being
sure.
able to read, the invoices and know that, okay, if I get that Home Depot invoice and the number is up in the top right-hand corner, that, the systems now are able to read that information and save the keystrokes
Right.
that everyone used to have to do from the invoice, the vendor, all these different things. So I think that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now is gaining the efficiency on AP.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, we're talking constantly about AI, and a lot of it is like you're watching videos that aren't actually real anymore. And that's, I feel like, the detrimental part of it. But then there's all these times that all these AI processes and that save time and they give time back to people. And I think that's really where we're going to see the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, my parents are posting videos of AI things that didn't actually happen. And they're like, look at this bear attacking a guy sleeping on the porch. And I'm like, that's not real. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And I mean, outside of the accounting world, you see it with the contract reviews, these hundreds of thousands of pages of contracts where these systems are able to pull out the language that we're looking for on drawings, where you're able to count the, outlets as opposed to someone who has to go through the drawings and circle all that stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff, but you're absolutely right. I think we're seeing a lot of uh, committees being developed from the standpoint of being optimistic, but also cautious getting in and what you're getting out of it.
For sure. So you've saved time now with a shorter commute. What do you do when you're not working?
Yeah. So a big part is, talking about sports. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they're involved in the different activities at this point, and really starting to ramp up with that. So, I've enjoyed being able to get to the practices and the things that go on during the week that I really wasn't able to get to
Yeah.
before. This winter, going to coach my son's basketball team, and some of those things once again just hadn't had the opportunity at their age where the practices and games, the games are generally on the weekends, but sometimes they'd be during the week. But they'd start at 5 o'clock, 5:30, and to be
Yeah.
able to get there was just a challenge before. So that's something that I've been blessed to be able to do, and that's where the time is generally going at this point.
Well, I mean, it's really important. And just the work-life balance, I mean, it's just so important.
Absolutely.
So, so outside of finance, do you have a skill that unexpectedly makes you better at your job?
I think sometimes, when people think about, accounting or financial folks, they're kind of um, dry, sit behind their desk, not necessarily
Right.
people pleasers or support systems. And I think that's something that I try to pride myself on is really understanding that we're a support to the operations teams and, have that kind of customer service mentality of saying, okay, yep, we do have structure and different things we need to follow, but we understand that we're building the building or, understanding the purpose of our business and to be able to try to be flexible, help the teams understand what they need or what we need from their side, but also be able to provide that support and meet with the teams, really understand what their needs are and not kind of be the person just behind the desk of when they come up, say, yes, we can do this or no, we can't.
Right.
I've think over 20 years, I've learned that skill and how that helps the team be successful in this industry.
Yeah, that's a great skill. Um, When you need to reset during either a tough close or work day, you have a go-to ritual at all?
Yeah, so I think family's big, and I think just going home and taking the dog for a walk, getting outside, and just hearing about the kids' days and at their age, there's always some comical story that comes with it. So those are the types of things that I enjoy, just getting outside and hearing what's going on in their world, and of course, vacations are key. Enjoy getting to the somewhere by the water. That's kind of the ultimate reset, I think, for me, especially during the summertime, trying to get to the beach or a lake and just relaxing and enjoying the outdoors.
That's awesome. Make sure you use sunscreen.
Absolutely. I see we have very nice haircuts that we're using.
My wife is constantly like, "Are you wearing sunscreen?" I'm like, "Yes, every day," just because like I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, this has been awesome. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
No, I think just made the one statement before. I'll just encourage folks to get involved. Really, this is a great organization, and it's something where you get out of it what you put in it into it. So I'll just encourage folks to go back and don't be afraid to say yes when there's an opportunity, and really, it is worth the time to volunteer because you get it back to full. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Alex, for taking the time to talk with me today. And thank you all for listening to another episode of Voices of CFMA, sponsored by Banger. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe and share on social media. And if you're interested in learning more about the Construction Financial Management Association, check out cfma.org. Once again, I'm your host, Sam Marino, and I will see everyone back here next month. Thanks.